Okay, so here we are again. So we're going to go on. We've done the strengths and weaknesses of for Democrats in this new Congress. We're now going to have a look at the opportunities. So, with every opportunity, with every door that closes, another one opens. One of the biggest opportunities that the Democrats have this cycle, which I think that they didn't really know they were going to get, was control of the Senate. So, as we've seen, when the Republicans had control of the Senate, they were able to thwart pretty much anything that was going on in the House. And this is why you had all these House measures that were put on by Congress. And because you had a split Senate, and then you had people like Manchin and Sinema that would actually, buck the party line. At that point, the Senate wasn't on their side, so they didn't actually get many things through. What they are going to be able to do this cycle is that they're going to be thwarting any type of MAGA policies. So anything that is actually pushed from extreme right, from the Republican House, will largely fail in the Senate. So there's not a lot that's going to be done. What they have though is that you still have Manchin and Sinema, so you may not be able to totally rely on that Democrat base, but we'll see. Another opportunity they have is as the climate gets worse and worse, they can still push that, and they can still push the whole thing about climate. And anyone that denies climate change is also seen as extreme. So that's one of their large bases, because the reason that climate is so popular is because it's of the youth. The people that are old don't really give a damn, they're going to be out of here anyway. So when you say that, the world's going to end in, I know they keep saying 10 years, but that's been going on for the last 30 years. But, you keep saying that perhaps the world's going to end in 100 years. Well, who really cares? But when you're actually youthful and you know that your kids are going to be growing up into that becomes an issue. And so that's an opportunity, I think, that they have to secure their youthful base. Abortion is going to be an opportunity because they haven't codified it, as I said in the last video. That gives them an opportunity as they go into the next cycle. So the people that hold abortion as an election issue, they're still going to be around in 2 years' time. So the Democrats, I think, are hoping that those people will still stay loyal as a voting base. Another opportunity is that now that Trump has said, I'm going to run again, that is now going to kick in all the people that hate Trump. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Trump's going to be in the news cycle again. That puts a massive opportunity for Democrats to say, hey, look, if you don't want another 4 years of Trump, then you really got to vote for us. So that's a major opportunity for the Democrats, because Trump has been a very divisive figure in American politics. Also, the opportunity is that the media made a lot of money and a lot of influence based on Trump, and now he's been out of it for the last couple of years. They've seen their ratings go down. CNN is almost bankrupt. They've got rid of a lot of the leftist commentators that almost like made their whole life about Trump. Late night comedians. So all they could talk about was Trump. So they've lost out over the last couple of years. Now he's said he's going to run again. That gives him again another resurgence. So you're going to see a lot more media coverage of Trump, reminding people of, certainly on a Democratic base, about all the things that they don't like about him. So that in turn is actually going to strengthen and embolden the Democrat base. Now let's have a look at threats. One of the biggest threats, of course, is now you've got what is essentially almost a lame duck president. It means that none of his administrative agenda is actually going to get passed. Now that House is gone, nothing's going to get done. There's only so many things you can do through executive order. We've seen now that the more conservative areas of the Supreme Court, so that is actually going to thwart a lot of executive orders as well, because most of them are going to be unconstitutional. So you're not going to see a lot of things getting done, and that I think will really threaten Biden's both his integrity and his electability. And I think that the sooner that Biden says, hey, I'm not going to run in 2024, the Democrats can start to get their opportunities together. Another threat is what is seen as the pandering to progressives. Obviously, they're becoming a greater force. And in this election cycle, we saw nearly all of the progressive squad sort of increase their majorities. So it shows that whatever they're doing is actually working, and they have a very powerful say on the Democratic Party. This becomes a real threat to moderate Democrats who really are looking back to the old Democratic Party, which cared about social issues, but they weren't extreme. So what you've got now is that these extremists are actually coming through, and basically, they're taking out the independents that usually would give Democrats the benefit of the doubt. Now they're saying, no, I don't want to be a part of this. So you end up pushing them to the right. The loss of Latinos is a massive threat, especially in areas like California. So as Latinos head more to the right, because they have more family values, more conservative values. They're not extreme, generally. So whereas before they were massive supporters of Democrats, and the same as the black vote as well. So one of the biggest threats is that as you increase the value of life with black businesses and basically the old oppression of some of the minorities, as their life gets better, they're more likely to vote Republican because they want to keep that. So they become fiscal Republicans and they become social Democrats, if you like. So when it actually comes down to the pocketbook, they're more likely to vote in their best interests, and that is likely to be Republican. We also find that another threat is as the business community starts to get into a better train of business after the pandemic, you find that business owners tend to go more to the conservative base. That becomes a real problem for Democrats. The pandemic was actually a really good time for the Democrats because they were able to lock everything down. They had, everyone was reliant on the government. They were reliant on the government for their information. And as we've seen, the biggest threats now is going to be when the CDC came out and said, actually, sorry, we got it all wrong. You're starting to see now a lot of the people that, were advocating for pandemics and lockdowns and everything are now going, oh, well, sorry. And now they're requiring amnesty. That's going to be a real threat to the Democrat base because they put a lot of store about big government coming in to save mankind, and it all turned out to be wrong. So that's going to really be a potential threat for anyone that drives the big government type of narrative. So government overreach has been seen, it's been experienced by people, people that are unable to say, goodbye to their grandmothers in hospital, people seeing that their kids failing in education, they're seeing that their inflation is hurting their pocketbooks, food is getting more expensive, there's been problems in the supply chain. All of these things are manufactured problems. We didn't used to have that, so something else has changed, and the only thing that's changed is Democratic policies towards that. So people will not forget that very easily, and I think that is going to be a major threat if this continues, and especially when you're talking about inflation and recession moving more into 2023, just in time for the 2024 election. Unless it actually gets progressively better, that's going to be a major threat to the Democrats next time around. The other major threat that they have is that they don't have anyone. Biden has name recognition, and Kamala Harris has largely been a damp squib. Everyone knows that she was chosen because she was a woman and also as a woman of color. So she was a placeholder, and we've seen that she was while she was very, very effective as a senator, She's not effective at all as a VP. She hasn't even been to the border, and that's her major portfolio. So I think that is a major threat. Everyone knows that she is not going to be elected the first woman president. So who else do they have? Pete Buttigieg, first openly gay potential president. I don't think America's ready for it, to be honest. They're very allowing on the LGBTQ community. Would they elect a president when he has to deal with places like China and Russia? Probably not. So who else do they have? I mean, they really don't have anyone. The Clintons have largely shot their bolt. That was the Democratic dynasties. If they had another Kennedy, perhaps. But all they have is Gavin Newsom. And I mean, this guy just only survived a recall. So he looks the part. He does look the part. Full head of hair, lovely wife, lovely family. But people don't trust him. And that is going to become a threat. So if he's the major front runner for 2024, I think they're going to have a real problem getting elected. So that's my thoughts on it. The next one I'll do is for the Republicans. And then I'll probably do one for independents as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Subscribe to the channel if you can. And I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.